let there be no doubts about Xabi Alonso because his project has arrived. Xabi Alonso not only was adamant about signing Álvaro Carreras, who today dominated Lamine Yamal and had him in his pocket, but Dean Howson as well was spectacular. There are so many talking points from this match. Real Madrid deservedly won 2-1 in a match where they could have potentially won by a much bigger margin. Of course, Kylian Mbappé scores an offside goal, and after the game we got notice from different sources that Kylian Mbappe's goal that was ruled offside was potentially unjustly ruled offside because of the camera angles. Once again, with Real Madrid facing teams in La Liga, there's a lot of speculative decisions that go against Real Madrid that are very questionable, but there is absolutely no surprise about that. Real Madrid in this match set up with a 4-4-2 formation with Eduardo Camavinga playing as a right midfielder at times, and we would see oftentimes Jude Bellingham pressuring the ball high up the pitch with Kylian Mbappé, but out of possession, Real Madrid would then oftentimes form a back five. Sometimes it would be Eduardo Camavinga who would play at the right back role, and other times Tchouaméni would slot in to the back to form a back three. One of the things that Xabi Alonso talked about was the need for Real Madrid to be very malleable and understand theoretically where the players need to be positionally. So it's less about structure, it's more about adaptation. And that's exactly what you saw in this game, with both Eduardo Camavinga at times playing as a right midfielder, especially when Real Madrid was trying to be deadly in transitions. But in other times you saw Tchouaméni play as the anchor at the 6. He would then sometimes slot in to form a back 3 when needed, depending on where Ferran Torres was. But you saw today, Real Madrid was a far better side than the Real Madrid side that played this Clásico last season, with Real Madrid oftentimes pressuring the ball high up the pitch, winning it in Barcelona's half, being much more aggressive off the ball, and really denying Barcelona any clear-cut chances in this match. The only goal that Barcelona scores comes from an Arda Güler mistake, which can happen in football matches. But overall, Real Madrid absolutely dominated the play and could have easily walked away from this match having won it by 3 or 4 goals. This is something Real Madrid needs to work on to make sure that they're more clinical in these transition opportunities, because we've seen Real Madrid win big titles by not necessarily dominating the number of chances in the match, but being very clinical when they do get their chances. One of the things that was apparent in this match was Jude Bellingham. The kind of work rate that he put in this match in pressuring the ball. Not only was he decisive in the attacking third and helping Real Madrid score the winner, but ensuring that Jude Bellingham was fit and available was instrumental to Real Madrid's success. Ahead of the match, Xabi Alonso said that Jude Bellingham was important because of all the ground that he covers. And that's what you saw in this match. Jude Bellingham covered so much ground, ran himself into the ground, pressing the ball, making sure that nobody on the Barcelona team who had it had time and space to pick out a pass. One of the things you also saw from Real Madrid is that they were pressuring the ball out of Barcelona's goal kicks. Every time Barcelona had a goal kick, Real Madrid would pressure the ball high up the pitch, and eventually they started turning over the ball in Barcelona's half. What ended up happening is Real Madrid was then able to create high quality chances in front of goal, and that eventually led to Barcelona having to go long from goal kicks. So you saw Real Madrid force Barcelona to not play the ball out of the back, something we're not used to seeing. But Real Madrid did not have a relentless press. They really focused on choosing their moments to pressure the ball. But you saw on so many different instances when Real Madrid did commit to the press, they went 1v1 in their pressing. But one of the things that Xabi Alonso really focused on and emphasized is making sure there was outlets in the build-up phase. You saw players like Arda Güler, he would drop into the pivot to make sure he was available whenever Álvaro Carreras would have the ball at his feet, to make sure that there was always a 1-2 option out of Barcelona's press. You could see that Xabi Alonso did his homework. One of the things that PSG had a lot of success with against Barcelona is that they would use a lot of 1-2 passes to break through their press. And so at times you would see Álvaro Carreras carrying the ball and also playing those 1-2 passes to bypass Lamine Yamal, who I wasn't even aware was playing this match. Xabi Alonso ensured that his team, when they were playing the ball out of the back, had multiple options to play the ball to, whether it was Tchouaméni or Camavinga, who would not get sucked into the play, to make sure he was an outlet on the right-hand side, or to try to play those 1-2 passes to break through their pressing. But one of the things that you also saw is Real Madrid really tried to focus on not feeding the ball to Kylian Mbappé if Vinicius was available so that they would make sure that there wasn't an offside pass that was played in progressive passing. Vinicius was isolated against Koundé on several occasions. He's not the kind of player that you want isolated against your fullback. And that is why it was potentially a mistake by Xabi Alonso to take Vinicius off with 20 minutes to go, because he was doing damage. Vinicius probably came out in this match a little too early, because if have given the opportunity to continue, he potentially could have done more damage. But I have to also talk about both Dean Howson and Eder Militao in this game. Both center backs absolutely dominated the play. If Real Madrid is going to win major titles, which based on today's performance, Real Madrid is good enough to win the Champions League. They're good enough and they should be the favorites now to win La Liga. No question, even though we're early in the season and many things can happen between now and April, but you have to say, right now, Real Madrid just looks like they have the momentum behind them. They have that confidence of just beating Barcelona. They're top of the league. There's no question Real Madrid have what it takes to win La Liga this season, and I expect them to win it. But given the personnel, the players that are available to Xabi Alonso, there is absolutely no reason why this side cannot win the Champions League this season. But the key to that is the health of the squad and making sure players like Dean Howson and Eder Militao are both fit, because both players absolutely dominated the play today. Eder Militao commanded his box. He was good in his 1v1 defending. His recovery pace is back. Dean Howson only had one mistake early in the game where he tries to pass the ball out of the back, but he cleaned up his passing after that mistake. But there was a decision that Xabi Alonso made before the match, which is to risk Dean Howson when Raul Asensio had a good game against Juventus. And that gamble paid off, because today Dean Howson was spectacular. And speaking of players who are also spectacular, Federico Valverde today was tested on several occasions and got a yellow card pretty early in the game and still played really well for the rest of the match. His defending was excellent. His energy, his recoveries on many of those counterattacks. He had many interceptions where Barcelona players tried to feed the ball behind our back line, but Valverde was there. But if I had to highlight one player in our back line defensively, it was Eder Militao. Eder Militao today was so dominant. And if we can keep this version of Militao, then Real Madrid is in a really good position this season to do big things. And when you analyze the performance of Carreras, yes, he shut down what's-her-face. Yes, he shut down Lamine Yamal. But there was one or two moments in the game where Carreras tries to play the ball out of the back. He loses possession in some bad zones, so did just a few things for him to work on. But this game was reminiscent of his performance when Benfica played against Barcelona. You can see why Xabi Alonso prioritized the signing of Carreras, is because defensively he's so dominant. In 1v1 defending, he's a nightmare to deal with. You're just going to have a hard time trying to beat Alvaro Carreras in those 1v1 situations. He's so difficult to dribble past. And another player who deserves a ton of recognition in this match as well was Tchouaméni, who on many occasions when Real Madrid would recover the ball was put into situations where he needed to make a split decision to make sure the weight of the pass was perfect, and he played the right pass almost every single time. There was only one pass I recall where he overhit it on a 1-2. He was trying to find Vinicius, and he put a little too much on that pass. But think about the role of Tchouaméni. Not only is he critical in helping Real Madrid win the ball back in those defensive interventions, but if a player in his position loses the ball at the pivot, then Barcelona is in a very good position to counterattack Real Madrid. And so it's really important to have a player in that position who is clean on the ball. And that's exactly what Tchouaméni was. He has been consistently putting up good performances this season. Since the arrival of Xabi Alonso, you're seeing the growth of Tchouaméni. Many of these players are undoubtedly going to benefit by having more structure in this team. We are not accustomed to seeing Real Madrid succinctly pressing the ball, being compact, forcing teams to turn over the ball, and being so deadly in transition. But it's going to be difficult for many sides to find a solution against the side that played today, because this Real Madrid side, with these players healthy, is going to be challenging for any team in the Champions League, and of course any team in La Liga as well. One of the things that we also saw today from Real Madrid was a lot of runs off the ball, an effort to combine on 1-2s. This was clearly an instruction from Xabi Alonso that when you get the ball, receive it, you find a teammate, you make sure to make those runs to provide an option for your teammate. And you also saw Real Madrid stifle Barcelona's 1-2s to try to stop them from being able to make those 1-2 runs behind Real Madrid's back line. Today, what we saw from Real Madrid was a team that really focused on being deadly in transitions. But there is still a lot more work for Real Madrid to do. A lot of these players have not played together in an 11 on a consistent basis, and so finding the rhythm and making sure that the build-up play is there is only going to improve. One of the things that Real Madrid can work on to be better is controlling the ball more, especially in games where you're on the back foot, you're needing to have more possession. You saw towards the end of the game, Real Madrid struggled to hold onto the ball, especially when Arda Güler came off. Xabi Alonso prioritized having Dani Ceballos come onto the pitch, pressuring the ball high up the pitch, rather than having Dani Ceballos play in the pivot. So when Arda Güler is not on the pitch, Real Madrid does struggle to have a little bit more of that control. And so I would not be surprised if on many occasions we see the double pivot of Tchouaméni and Camavinga. So overall today you have to say that Xabi Alonso got it right, that he beat Hansi Flick in terms of making sure that he set up his team well. This Real Madrid team can still continue to improve, be better, but to see the progression, to see the process in which Real Madrid is playing in, it's not just about the result, it's not just about the scoreline, but the fact is Real Madrid is improving. They are creating better quality chances. They're defending better. They're not giving Barcelona any real high quality chances in front of their goal. And so you have to be pleased with what you're seeing if you're a Real Madrid fan, because it looks like there's good times ahead with Xabi Alonso. This victory tells the world that Xabi Alonso is onto something. And hopefully this means that the players will buy in more. They will fulfill the instructions of Xabi Alonso, because we have not really seen Real Madrid play in a modern way in a long time. We've been a side that's been defending deep, suffering a lot, but being very deadly in transition. So it's nice to see Real Madrid for once knowing how to pressure the ball high up the pitch, being better in terms of their build-up play out of the back, be more organized, more compact without the ball. And so I'm very optimistic about what I saw today, and I give Xabi Alonso a 9.4 out of 10 for this performance by Real Madrid. And the thing that he cannot really control sometimes is the players taking their opportunities or being fractionally offsides, which, by the way, again, we need to question, because that Kylian Mbappé first goal that he scores looked questionably onsides to me. Let me know if you guys agree. Thank you for watching, and Hala Madrid!